Hello, and thank you for joining us. Welcome to Business Breakthroughs presented by Invest Ottawa. I'm your host, Barbara Balfour. Stay with us for the next 30 minutes as we chat with local small business owners who have found unique ways to pivot during lockdown and who will share some of their secrets to staying resilient in challenging times. Today's show is the Health Services Edition, and I have the great pleasure of being joined by two entrepreneurs who have dedicated their lives to the health and well-being of their clients. First, I'd like to welcome Irene DeHaan. Irene is an independent registered dental hygienist and the owner of iSmile Ottawa, where she provides mobile dental care for seniors. Irene grew up on a dairy farm in Richmond, Ontario, before completing her dental hygiene degree at Algonquin College in the year 2000. When she's not polishing those pearly whites, she enjoys cycling and spending time with her partner and two teenage boys. Welcome to the show, Irene.
Thank you.
Next, I'd like to welcome Karyn Hughes. Karyn has been a registered massage therapist for the last 20 years. She's also a doula and consultant. Karyn is the founder of Kneaded Touch Massage Therapy, a business with 3 locations that takes a family-centered approach. She has focused her practice on pregnant women and infants. She also shares her love of massage and learning by teaching prenatal massage at Algonquin College. Thank you so much for joining us, Karyn.
Hey, thank you.
So first, I'd like to start with you, Karyn. What has it been like serving clients who are pregnant or just having a baby during a global pandemic?
It's definitely been different. Everyone is, on this higher level of nervousness and concern. So I think the stress levels are really crazy and nobody wants to put anyone at jeopardy. So it's been definitely a unique experience trying to make sure everything not only is clean, but it has the perception of extra cleanliness so that everyone is fully aware and feels confident walking through the doors.
And talk to us about what it means to be a doula and a lactation consultant, and why would a woman need those services?
So doulas are wonderful, wonderful people, if I do say so myself, but they are women who are there to support women in labor. So they're not there to do any of that medical kind of thing, but to listen to a mom in labor, make sure that she has that space to have the birth that she wants to have, as well as make sure she's heard in those moments when, everyone's trying to talk to her in the middle of a contraction and she can think of nothing else. So they're there to be there for mom. Even when the baby comes and everyone shifts over to the baby, she's still there for mom. Lactation consultants, we're there to help moms with their breastfeeding journey and to start figuring out how things are working, to make sure what they think is normal is actually normal, or if there's something going on, to catch it. They're sort of that top level of the different tiers of lactation support. So, if the baby's actually having difficulty, you would go see a lactation consultant and we can try and solve things. And we have a whole lot of different solutions that we can use to try and help out and get her on her way and feeding her baby the way she wants to.
And I can imagine, with motherhood being such an overwhelming and sometimes isolating experience, even at the best of times, I can imagine during COVID-19 that your clients have been leaning more heavily on you than ever.
Absolutely. With the lack of all the mom groups and the baby drop-ins and everything, everyone's reaching out to, social media for those moms, but sometimes they want just not to Dr. Google it and actually just get that one-on-one connection and the information. So yes, it's been very, very busy.
Now, I want to go back to Irene. Being up close and personal with people's mouths carries a lot of risks just in of itself. What kinds of sacrifices have you had to make to keep you and your family and your clients safe? And what kind of adjustments have you had to make during COVID-19? I see you've got quite an impressive setup behind you. Talk us through what life has been like in the last year and a half for you.
Okay, so I work with seniors exclusively, so it's the highest risk group, especially long-term care. So for me, the major thing is we need a lot more PPE than we used to have. So I need to wear a respirator for the entirety of my time in the residence. I also need to wear a face shield and a fluid-resistant isolation gown. We minimize aerosols now, minimize or no, so that's no rinsing their mouth with water, no using the ultrasonic scaler, no polishing their teeth. The other major thing is having to bring this whole setup of mine, which you can see in the background. So I need to move that now from patient room to patient room. Whereas prior to COVID, I would normally get an office like the hair salon or the doctor's office, and I would set my setup once, and the patients would be brought down to me. But now, for everybody's safety, I go into their individual suites and just close the door. So it's been a challenge. It reduces the number of people I can see, for sure, and sometimes their rooms are actually tiny spaces. So sometimes I'm not even able to set up that dental chair. I will have to see them in their beds or make some other adjustments for that.
It looks like quite the physical workout for you. How many times in a typical day might you have to take it down and set it back up again?
So right now for taking down and set up, I think my maximum is 5, 4 typically, and then it just takes so long to do the disinfecting and set up and tear down. That kind of takes me the whole day, so I can't see more than that.
Did your family have any concerns? When did you go back to work after the first lockdown?
So I went back to work July, I would say, July 2020. Um, the the rules are so stringent that came out from the College of Dental Hygienists. I really did not feel at risk. And also with my own business, I have complete control of what I do. So, I choose not to produce any aerosols, so there will be nothing in the air that could splatter, I could inhale. And I feel completely protected with the measures that have been put in place for COVID.
And do you typically go into retirement homes, seniors' residences? Do you do private one-on-one calls? Who makes up the bulk of your clientele?
So seniors residences, long-term care facilities, the bulk of my clientele are typically seniors that are not able to easily leave the residence. Like maybe they're in a wheelchair and it requires, special transportation. It might require a lift to get them out of that wheelchair, or maybe they are suffering from Alzheimer's or dementia and they're confused, and the whole leaving the residence would be a scary, traumatic experience for them. So those make up the bulk of my clients.
A lot of
And I
people
do,
find, oh, sorry, go ahead.
oh, I was just going to say that I don't do private home visits at this time, so I restrict it to seniors facilities.
A lot of people find going to the dentist to be extremely stressful, even under the best of circumstances. How do you reassure and comfort seniors who have dementia or Alzheimer's? How do you go in and sort of make it a positive experience for them? That can't be easy.
Yeah, well, I really enjoy working with them. The seniors with Alzheimer's are actually my favorite clientele. My mom had Alzheimer's, so I have some experience with that. So I talk to them the whole time. Like they don't talk back often, they're just maybe staring into space. But I come in and I say hi, I tell them my name. I say, I'm going to check your teeth and, you can just rest now. It's all okay. And I set my stuff up and I tell them everything I'm going to be doing. Like they maybe don't respond, but I think they understand to some extent. And I use touch a lot. Like I'll put my hand on their shoulders. Sometimes I'll hold their hand. Sometimes, they will tighten their lips. So I'll kind of give them like a massage, like around their face just to get some cooperation. And yeah, I do very well with them. Yeah, they're my favorite group. I had
What do you
a lady
find
last.
so rewarding?
Pardon me. What do I find so rewarding?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, things like I had a lady just this week, and she was just like I was talking about. She was nonverbal, so she's not really responding to me in any way. And I'm talking her through it. It's the first time I see her, so we have our appointment. It goes overall not so bad. And at the end, I put my hand on my shoulder and I say to her, is it okay if I come back to see you again? And she takes my hand and she nods. So she has been, she's known what's going on and she heard me, she understood me, and she was happy to have someone come in and take care of her like that. So things like that just really make my day, clients like that.
That's beautiful. And talk to us about the importance of having regular routine dental care because there's an association with other parts of the body and other health conditions if you let your dental health sort of go unattended for too long.
Oh, for sure. There's a huge association with diabetes, Alzheimer's disease, heart disease. They've been shown to worsen each other. You know, diabetes worsens your oral disease will worsen your diabetes. So it's a circular pattern. With the elderly, aspiration is a huge risk. Like often they have difficulty swallowing. And a client also just last week that had been hospitalized for aspiration, and she is now on an oxygen machine. So her lungs had been damaged from the experience. So when you think about aspirating something in your mouth, the more bacteria that is floating around in your mouth, obviously, the worse it is to go down in your lungs. So for the elderly, they can get a particular type of pneumonia called aspiration pneumonia. So that's a huge reason to just keep that bacterial load down. Also,
Huge.
broken teeth and yeah, cavities, they may not be able to express that there's a problem. So somebody really needs to go in there and have a look on a regular basis and just make sure there's nothing brewing.
Hugely important just from a preventative maintenance aspect. I want to switch back to Karyn. Take us to the very beginning of your career when you started out as a massage therapist and tell us a little bit about your journey to owning your own clinics.
Yeah, that's an interesting story, actually. When I graduated, I just got a job with another clinic, and we ended up having a very negative ending of our journey, if you will. And I decided, I never wanted to be in that situation again. I never wanted to be treated that way. And I didn't want anyone else to be treated that way. So I set a goal.
What was the situation? How were you treated?
It was basically the person I was working for decided that they were going to use different marketing people, and I found their behavior to be quite unethical, like the marketing person. But when I would complain or suggest that, this isn't appropriate, he can't look at my files, he can't just give away free massage and expect people to upgrade in order to actually get them free massage. When I complained, I was accused of being not a team player, and it was suggested that, I should just fall into line because this is how we are going to make all this big money. And that just, I'm in it for the love, not for the money. And I just couldn't do it. So she locked the doors, changed the locks, changed all the codes to the phone. So when I said no to that, and so that weekend, my friends were so wonderful. We all got together and we built a clinic in my house. And I literally, that Monday morning, stood outside the door of my old place, the old clinic, and said, "Hi, I don't work there anymore. Will you follow me home?" It was just humiliating. It was awful. But they were really great about it. So
how many days did you have to stand outside your clinic and do that?
I only did that for the one day because it was some people I couldn't get a hold of. It was before the days of online booking, so everything was in the book. So thankfully, I had brought my files home because I didn't trust that other guy, but I didn't know all the people who I was seeing necessarily on that first Monday and Tuesday. So I tried to get a hold of everyone I could, and at least I had a copy of the names. So it was it was very awkward. So I opened a clinic in my house and I worked there for a bit, but I wanted that work-life balance and not to have everyone know where I lived. And, it's a bit of a safety hazard too, right? Being in your own home, female, all by myself, who knows who could walk through my door, right? So my goal was to one day have my own clinic. So I started doing the research and I was calling around and I randomly ended up talking to this real estate person who said, "Hey, would you ever work on Maryville?" And I said, "Absolutely not. Maryville is this crazy busy street. It's not for me." She convinced me to go check it out. And it turned out to be a space that was partially built for massage therapy. And they just had to finish developing the rest of it. And another interesting, awkward situation where a massage therapist was actually, they were basically cheating this poor man out of his retirement savings. So they got busted and that was good. Her and her boyfriend. So another crazy situation. But anyways,
These were people that you had worked with before deciding to throw in the towel and go on your own?
yeah, just that whole other situation that was just, awkward and horrible. So I took over the lease so this poor gentleman could get out from having to pay this obligation, and I ended up opening up a clinic with no business plan, no nothing. I was just starting my research. So yeah, I learned on the fly. It was a very steep learning curve, but that was 2007, and we're still open, so it must have worked out. And yeah, since then I opened up 2 other locations. So, it was all learning one thing after another. And I was able to, have some really great supportive people helping me out, learning the ropes, if you will. So yeah, it was quite the adventure.
So now you have 3 locations, including the
Mhm.
original one that you opened in 2007. What are the locations?
So I've got the one on Maribel that is actually expanding and opening next door. So if anyone's looking for us, we're there now, or we'll be there. The other one, the second one was open in Westboro. So if you know where Mountain Equipment Co-op is, we're in behind that. And was a cute little house on Danforth. And the third one is here in Barrhaven. That's the one I'm at now. And it's known as like Kneaded Touch Women's Clinic. So we've got a bit of a specialty going on here, which is lovely.
So you don't exclusively deal with women and infants, you also offer all other types of massage to other demographics?
Absolutely. Our focus is on family. This particular location, the therapists who are here all have extra training because after we graduate, we have to keep learning, right? So all our extra training is related to women's health. So my specific focus is on prenatal and infants, but and children actually, all things there. But yeah, everyone here, we all have extra prenatal training and other issues with women's health like fibromyalgia, headache, endometriosis, things like that. Yeah.
I really want to know why a child or even a baby would need a massage and how you would go about doing that.
Yeah. So I see a lot of babies, not just for the bonding experience with mom or dad or any parent really. So I will teach that, and that's definitely something we know. But what I specifically see infants for are ones who've had, say, birth trauma. So they have a forceps delivery, and the bones in their head aren't quite aligned, so they can't suck properly. Their jaw doesn't open quite right, or they're hurting mom when they're trying to nurse, or they're colicky, or they've got torticollis, so they can't turn their head, and that makes it difficult to nurse and to just be comfortable. So I see infants for that. I've been seeing a lot of children lately for anxiety with all this, COVID challenges from school, not being at school, not seeing their friends. Sometimes, it's an autistic child or a child who's just delayed in development or a toe walker. A lot of different things for kids. They've got a lot of things happening in their bodies all at once as they're growing. But babies have that special part in my heart.
What's the youngest patient you ever had?
The youngest one I've ever had was actually 2 hours old. I was actually in the hospital as a doula for this particular child, but the youngest one I've had here in the clinic was 5 days old. So
Wow.
yeah, I see them quite young.
Wow. I find it so interesting, Karyn, because you're dealing with and helping patients at the very beginning of their lives. And Irene, you're on the other side of the spectrum because you're helping patients who are nearing the end of their lives. So it's quite an interesting juxtaposition. Just wanted to throw the conversation back to you, Irene, and ask you to fill us in on some of the more technical things you do in terms of your services. I know you do a certain kind of filling. Talk to us a little bit about some of those services.
Okay, so the fillings you're referring to, they don't. So they're called temporary fillings, but they can last up to 5 years. They don't require any drilling or any freezing, and so it's a great option for seniors that cannot get out of their retirement homes. It will release fluoride continuously, so it will actually help harden up the area again. So I use that in conjunction. There's a special type of fluoride I can use that will also it'll turn the area dark, but it will harden it up. It basically stops the decay from progressing. So, so especially for these seniors, I mean, that can be the difference between having a huge abscess on their face or just having everything truck along, right? So that's actually quite a popular service of mine. In addition, just regular cleaning, polishing, less so with COVID now, but scaling, polishing. I do preventative fluoride. I do oral cancer screenings, complete dental exams. I also do referrals. I have a mobile dentist that I refer to. So say I see a client and it's beyond dental hygiene care. They actually have an infection or they need a tooth taken out or whatever the case may be. So I will refer to him and he will come right to their room and see them, in their facility. So it's a nice circle of care to work with these
And
clients.
how did you choose this business model of mobile dental care, and how prevalent is it? I don't think I've ever heard of it before. Are you the only one in Ottawa to offer this service?
I don't think I'm the only one. I think I'm the only one that only sees seniors residences. I think there's plenty of independent hygienists in Ottawa, and some do go in and see seniors too, but I don't know of another company that's all that they do. Their focus is exclusively on seniors. As far as I know, I'm the only one. I was first introduced to it actually as I had taken on a contract, and so I got to go in and work and see these people, and I just I really loved it. So I wanted to get started on my own. Yeah, mainly so I could have complete control of the booking, my clients, and I could take all the time that I needed with them. I have this one woman, and I see her directly in her recliner, and she's got this dog that she likes to hold to her chest. It's this like mechanical dog. It barks and moves, and so the dog's name's Manny. So I can take, all the time in the world with her. Like she needs a lot of breaks and, now and then she wants to stop and she's got to pet the dog and she talks a little bit and that's fine. So yeah, that really motivated me to just go at it on my own, to have that sort of time to spend with them and not be rushed and not be pressured to bill anything in particular, and just really adjust my treatment for each client.
The fact that you do it for the love, not for the money, really shines through. And some of these stories that you've shared with us are so touching. How do you let people know about your services? Have there been any challenges around promoting your business in the last few years?
Yeah, absolutely. With COVID, it's changed everything. Actually, it was quite a difficult pivot. So prior to COVID, I would say I didn't have a huge presence online. I didn't have a Facebook business page. I didn't have like an Instagram account for my business. My website, I had built it myself, so it gave the information, but it wasn't really a professional website. Prior to COVID, what I would do is I would typically set up a booth in the residences, the facilities. So I would get in touch with the management. We would pick a day and I would set up everything just like you see behind me, and I would sit and people would walk by and they would ask me questions and we would talk a bit and then, the word would get out. But obviously with COVID, none of the residences want me sitting in there just for what? To give things away and be touching things and be close to people. So that avenue is just completely shut down. So, I really had to first, I didn't really know what to do at first. So I started my Instagram account, I started posting stuff, and then I started my Facebook account. And then Digital Mainstreet redid my website, redid my branding. So that's fantastic. And I think it's a good thing that's come out of COVID is I've started offering these free dental exam days. So I will go in and I can see about 8 clients. So it takes me about half an hour each. And it's a dental screening. So it's an oral cancer check. It's a check for infections. It's a check for like sore spots. It's a check for ill-fitting dentures. And there's no cost to them whatsoever. So often they
So
do choose to book back. Yep.
how can people find out about these days?
They can call me directly from the website. And usually I work directly with the management of the facility. But say, somebody wanted me to come in and they had maybe an elderly parent, they can absolutely get in touch with me and I can call the facility and say, look, so and so's mother needs an exam and I've been contacted. And is this something you would be willing to work with me on and set that up for her?
And you also do a lot of volunteer work. You went on a volunteer mission to Haiti in 2020. Was that prior to the start of the pandemic?
Yes, it was. It was early January, so pretty much right after Christmas in 2020. And yeah, that was a fantastic experience. So I work only with the elderly, but that was school children. That's all we saw. Hundreds, literally hundreds of school children. So we drove up. It was a remote village. Like, it was like a 6-hour drive up into the mountains, and we were in this truck, and it was dusty, and we were all packed in there. And these children, like, they would literally walk for hours to come in, and they would sit and wait for their appointment, and they don't make a peep. They were dressed up. They had their little cute little uniforms and their little bows, and they would just sit there. And, we saw so many. It was myself and another hygienist, and we had a couple of assistants. We had a couple of dentists come on the trip, and sometimes these children wouldn't even be seen. We went right from 8 in the morning until basically it was dark, like we couldn't see anymore. But there was just so many that at the end of the day, at some point we had to say, like, I'm sorry, like, I can't see you, So that was really hard, because they had walked, literally spent their day, and no one's giving them a lunch. Like, there's not like they're bringing a bagged lunch to sit there. They're just sitting waiting, right? But it was super rewarding, though, because we saw so many children, and I could see this mission had been going on for several years, and I could really tell the ones that had been repeat clients, like, had been seen the year before. Like, I could really see the difference in their mouth. So it was really rewarding to see that it's help making such a difference.
Sounds like an amazing experience, and I'd love to hear more about it, but unfortunately, we're almost at the end of our time. I want to go back to Karyn, and if you could quickly comment on what pain points you had that participating in Invest Ottawa's digital Mainstreet program helped you resolve.
Absolutely, yeah. They were, in my job, I'm in with someone one-on-one. I can't be working on the computer as well, and it's been so busy. There's so many people who need massage for something or one thing or another. With COVID, with all the extra time that we need to take for cleaning and screening and everything, it's been really hard to do any of that admin stuff. And so, I'm not letting any of the main admin stuff fall, like bills and that kind of thing. But when it comes to figuring out all the new algorithms and the back end of the website and making templates for social media, I have no time at all. And I also don't have time to do the research to figure out how to, maximize my SEO, and half those acronyms, I have no idea what they even mean. So they were so wonderful.
They helped you with that?
They did. They made me little videos so I could refer back in case I forgot. They had maybe a little like a guide, a tutorial that I could just follow along step by step on how to update things and fix things. They made me some templates so that when I want to do a social media post, the logo and the branding's all there, and I snap in a picture or words about something, an article, and I can just post everything quickly. So they were really great, finding little time savers for me and taking out the fear of what if I do it all wrong. That was really wonderful.
It's so easy to let the marketing slide when you're just trying to focus on making a living and on the day-to-day. I want to thank you so much to you both, Irene and Karyn, for providing us with a front row seat to what it means to be a business owner in these challenging times, and for sharing these really inspirational stories of all the good work that you're doing in the community, both locally and abroad. And for those of you who are watching tonight's episode of Business Breakthroughs presented by Invest Ottawa, I want to thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget to keep supporting local, and we'll see you again next week. Have a great night.